Liverpool's Atletico Madrid loss, a tale of two goalkeepers as Adrian flops and Jan Oblak shines. The Reds were knocked out at the last 16 stage of the Champions League after an Atletico smash and grab saw them win 3-2 on the night and 4-2 on aggregate. At one end stood a giant, at the other lay a devastated figure. If ever a football match was a tale of two keepers, it was this one. Just when Roberto Firmino's tidy finish in extra time seemed to have rendered Jan Oblak's magnificence irrelevant, up stepped the hapless Adrian. His poor clearance was returned to substitute Marcos Llorente, who beat the Liverpool keeper with ease. When Llorente comfortably repeated the trick less than 10 minutes later, Liverpool's Champions League defense was over. And it was over in a fashion that will be hard for Jurgen Klopp and his side to take, especially as Alvaro Morata actually won the second leg for Atletico in added time of extra time. Liverpool dominated this second leg but found Oblak inspired and their own finishing not up to scratch. Jorginho Wijnaldum's first half header gave them the let, and Firmino looked as though he would be giving Liverpool's superiority the outcome it deserved. But Adrian, inactive for long periods, made his unwitting intervention, and Klopp and his men, for once, could not muster another great European comeback. What will be particularly galling is that the match should never have gone into extra time, such was the welter of opportunities created by the Premier League champions-elect. Yes, Oblak reinforced his reputation as one of the world's best keepers, but there were plenty of moments when two Oblaks should not have been able to keep out the defending European champions. Remember the clinical nature of Liverpool's epic semi-final second-leg win over Barcelona here? This was the polar opposite. Sure, Wijnaldum's header was a beauty, and Firmino reacted smartly when his header came back off the post early in extra time to put Liverpool ahead in the tie. But the game should not have gone that far and would not have done so had a whole cast of Liverpool players not wasted clear chances. It looked like going to plan when Wijnaldum struck. After being released by Mohamed Salah, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's cross was a beauty and got the headed treatment it deserved from Wijnaldum. The timing, in every sense, could not have been sweeter, and a predictable second-half siege materialized. It had already become clear Oblak was going to be the Spanish side's key man, and his full stretch stop from a low Oxlade-Chamberlain rasper was just one of a series of high-quality saves. From a long way out, it looked as though Diego Simeone would be happy to go to extra time and penalties. He invited the pressure onto his side, and it arrived in waves. Oxlade-Chamberlain smacked a good opportunity against Oblak, and Andy Robertson, with the head, smacked his against the crossbar. As Liverpool's dominance continued pretty much uninterrupted, two spectacular overhead attempts from Sadio Mane ended up in the Kop, the same destination for Salah's left-footed effort after he had slalomed past several tiring Atletico defenders. There was a moment of drama in added time when an offside Saul Niguez headed a free kick past Adrian, but it had only been Atletico fortune, wasteful Liverpool finishing and a big Slovenian keeper that had taken the game into extra time. And no one could have foreseen the twists extra time would take, Firmino putting Liverpool up overall, but Llorente's double and Morata's winner, sealing the most unlikely of passages for Atletico. Cue wild celebrations for Simeone, misery for Adrian, his teammates and Klopp. The future of the Champions League this season has to be deeply uncertain. One thing is for certain, though. Thanks to Adrian, Oblak and their own poor finishing, Liverpool will not be in it. PSG through to Champions League quarter-finals after comfortable 2-0 win over Dortmund. Goals from Neymar and Juan Bernat gave the French side a 3-2 victory on aggregate in front of an empty stadium at Parc des Princes due to the coronavirus outbreak. Paris Saint-Germain beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0 in an empty stadium due to coronavirus fears on Wednesday to reach the Champions League quarter-finals 3-2 on aggregate. Neymar and Juan Bernat scored before halftime to overturn a 2-1 first-leg deficit and send the French champions into the last eight for the first time since 2016 as Dortmund finished with 10 men after Emre Can was sent off in the dying minutes. PSG made it past the last 16 after painful exits at the same stage in the last 2 years. They let slip a 4-0 advantage in a 6-5 aggregate defeat by Barcelona in 2017 and lost to Manchester United on away goals after beating the English side 2-0 at Old Trafford 12 months ago. Over 3,000 Ultra fans gathered near the Parc des Princes before kickoff after being granted authorization by the police demonstrations, being considered an exemption to the ban of gatherings of more than 1,000 as French authorities try to contain the coronavirus, which has infected 2,281 people and killed 48. They lit firework, and their chants could be overheard in the stadium. "Our only virus is Paris SG," a banner in the empty arena read. PSG were without captain Thiago Silva, who had not fully recovered from a hamstring injury, while Kylian Mbappé started on the bench after suffering from a sore throat. The home side dominated possession and had the first clear chance when Edinson Cavani's cross shot from Di Maria's through ball was deflected by keeper Roman Bierki. Neymar put the hosts ahead in the 28th minute as he headed home Angel Di Maria's free kick for his 35th goal in 57 matches, making his presence count after missing the return leg against United through injury last season. Burnett doubled the lead on the stroke of halftime by flicking Sarabia's attempt past Bierki. PSG pressed high after the break, while Erling Haaland, who scored a double in the first leg, never looked likely to add to his 10 Champions League goals this season. Thorgan Hazard and Axel Witsel made way for Julian Brandt and Giovanni Reina as Dortmund coach Lucien Favre looked to freshen up his attacking line, and PSG were suddenly on the back foot. A brawl erupted 2 minutes from time after Can fouled Neymar and pushed the Brazilian to the ground. Can was sent off while Di Maria picked up a yellow card, which means the Argentine will be suspended for the first leg of PSG's quarter-final. Jurgen Klopp's angry reaction to Liverpool fans attempting to high-five him at Anfield. The team were on their way out to warm up when the Reds' boss was angered by supporters who appeared to get too close for comfort to the German. Jurgen Klopp snapped at Liverpool supporters when they tried to reach down and touch him ahead of the Reds' crucial Champions League last 16-second leg against Atletico Madrid at Anfield. There was a fervent atmosphere around the stadium ahead of kickoff, with the team bus greeted by a large gathering of fans armed with flares, and supporters of the club are clearly trying to do all they can do back their team as they try to overturn a 1-0 deficit from the first leg. As the squad emerged from the tunnel to warm up, they were greeted with a roar, and a number of spectators offered out their hands for a high five with the players and Klopp. Video footage, however, showed Klopp seemingly furious with the gesture, and he was seen saying, "Put your hands away, you idiots," before making his way to the pitch. His reaction was no doubt due to current worries over the coronavirus outbreak, which was announced as a pandemic earlier today. Players have been banned from shaking hands ahead of kickoff, while a number of matches are being played behind closed doors or have been called off altogether. Liverpool fans were urged to take extra precautions ahead of tonight's match, with thousands of fans from Madrid descending upon Merseyside, despite action taken by the Spanish government to outlaw those same fans from attending matches in Atletico's own stadium or traveling to rival grounds within the country, as all La Liga games are ordered to take place behind closed doors. The authorities have reacted after a major outbreak which is centered in Madrid, with the contagion rate growing faster there than anywhere else in the world over the past few days. Cases have doubled in little more than 24 hours, with almost 50% coming in the Spanish capital. Liverpool's sensational Anfield atmosphere may be the last we see in Europe for some time. The Reds crashed out of the Champions League after losing 4-2 on aggregate to Atletico, but the competition may not even be able to be concluded amid the coronavirus crisis. They know a thing or two about atmospheres in Madrid, the Aleti pyrotechnics that greeted their team before the first leg, a genuine spine-tingling, leg-trembling spectacle. As the Wanda is, "See what I did there," it is not Anfield. Not a patch on the febrile occasion that is a primal Anfield European night. Even in bitter undeserved defeat as they tasted here, it is alive. Jurgen Klopp was almost matter-of-fact about it before. "They have never experienced something like this," he said of the visiting Spanish team. In most cases, those words are mere cliché, but not here, not with these fans. In the 3 minutes of this encounter, Atletico had given the ball away 5 times. By the 10th minute, they were well into double figures. But the half hour, the panic had set in, and they were well and truly hoofing the ball just to relieve the incessant pressure. Diego Simeone's side are technical players, some of the best in La Liga, yet even the basic functions of passing deserted the Madrid side at times, and the cause without doubt was that mind-blowing, brain-mangling noise. So it was with a heavy heart and a real sense of sadness to realize that there won't be any more nights like this for a while. Not in the Champions League. Not at Anfield, obviously, as the Reds unfairly crashed out after dominating the game and creating enough chances to win 4 matches. But not anywhere else, either. The reality is, northern Italy, Madrid, Paris, other parts Spain, Germany, and Portugal are already in lockdown. There will be no football played in those regions for some time, probably not until next season. And the UK will follow swiftly. This is not scaremongering. It is not panic talk. It is a reality. Sporting events here, just as they are in most of the rest of Europe, will be behind closed doors or banned altogether soon. Perhaps within the next fortnight. So how can the Champions League continue? The very best case scenario is it becomes a TV competition, played in front of empty stadiums, just like in Paris this week, Munich next week, etc., and beamed as compensation-hungry TV audiences. That will raise further questions. Can the games be broadcast in pubs, where people are in close proximity and conditions ripe for transmission? Not likely. So they will have to go on terrestrial TV to keep people at home. Then the clamor will be to stop games altogether, as they are likely to do in Spain within the next 24 hours. And many events in the United States are likewise doing. The likelihood in fact exists that the Champions League simply will not be allowed to run its course, an unfortunate phase, given the crass comments of Boris Johnson earlier this week. It will surely be postponed, suspended, abandoned even. That is a shame, of course, a real sadness, because the atmosphere for so much of this electric contest was life-affirming. Joyful. Yet it is not a tragedy. Tragedy is what is happening in Italy, where doctors are forced to make decisions on who gets life-saving treatment with ventilators and who doesn't and is left to die. Tragedy is the real story of this pandemic that is sweeping the world. And football fans must respect and appreciate that fact. As Klopp said on Tuesday, some things really are more important than football.